There's just something about a good adventure story that can be really compelling. The combination of an ever-changing world and characters that grow from the first episode to the last episode can create a viewing experience most people can't help but love. Made in Abyss is the same way. We get to see not only the world change around our main characters, but we also get to see them go on this adventure to discover the secrets of this so-called abyss, but also themselves and who they are along the way. Made in Abyss may be a short anime, but do not mistake it for one without rich detail and depth. This anime is an anime that only comes around every so often.
ちょっとナット、なんでついてくるのよ。
うるせえな。俺の担当リコのすぐ上なんだよ。
The Abyss, a gaping chasm stretching down into the depths of the earth, filled with mysterious creatures and relics from a long time past. How did it come to be? What lies at the bottom? Countless brave individuals known as divers have sought to solve these mysteries of the Abyss, fearlessly descending into its darkest realms. The best and bravest of the divers, the White Whistles, are hailed as legends by those who remain on the surface. Riko, daughter of the missing White Whistle, Lyza the Annihilator, aspires to become like her mother and explore the furthest reaches of the Abyss. However, just a novice Red Whistle herself, she is only permitted to roam in the most upper layer. Even so, Riko has a chance encounter with a mysterious robot with the appearance of an ordinary young boy. She comes to name him Reg, and he has no recollection of the events preceding his discovery. Certain that the technology to create Reg must come from deep within the Abyss, the two decide to venture forth into the chasm to recover his memories and see the bottom of the great pit with their own eyes. However, they know not of the harsh reality that is the true existence of the Abyss. Thanks to those at myanimelist.com for that synopsis.
あら、もう見えなくなっちゃった。いいな、乗りたいな。
Made in Abyss is made by the studio Kinema Citrus, who are known for anime like Barakamon and Tokyo Magnitude 8.0. Among many others. The anime is also directed by Masayuki Kojima, who is also known for Azuki-chan, Black Bullets, and Monster. Made in Abyss is also based on the manga of the same name by Akihito Tsukushi, which, by the way, is his only original works, so there you go. The anime is also your standard length of 24 minutes, spanning just a short 13 episodes.
ちょっと、何私より先に行ってるのよ。銭湯は私。
Made in Abyss is an anime that on the surface seems like a fun, loving adventure. One you'd see from Hayao Miyazaki in his early days, or even something like Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball. But upon peeling through the copious layers of this story, we find out that its childlike charms are just there for one reason. And that one reason is to give this show a light, because everything else in this anime is incredibly dark. This is not a show for children. This isn't a show for young adults either. It's brutal and it treats its characters like yesterday's trash. These children may have chibi-like designs to appease the eye, but by episode 6 you realize these characters are way in over their head. They're still children, and the show doesn't insult your intelligence with this either. They act like how children would in these situations, or at the very least what you'd think children would act like with the knowledge that they have. As for the story's pacing, I felt the first 3 or so episodes were very slow. Now, not slow in a bad way, but I think a lot of people will get caught off guard by how slow this anime is in the beginning. For most of these episodes, our characters and threats are being introduced slowly, and while I personally think that these are the best episodes writing-wise, I also do think this was necessary for it to be as slow as it was, because once they entered the Abyss, it's pretty much full throttle from there, and episodes speed by, besides maybe episodes 5 and 6 with Ozin. And the pacing of the latter episodes, I felt, was pretty much perfect for what the story demanded. They weren't rushing through anything, and they took their time. Hell, the last episode is pretty much 40 minutes, and even then, that episode feels like it ended in 20 minutes. There is little to no retreading here in this anime. It's probably the best paced story of this whole season, maybe the whole year so far.
マジ重い。どこ行ったのよ。ナットのやつ。
The characters in this anime are very well developed, so let's start with Regu. Reg is a mysterious boy that saved Riko from a monster of the Abyss when she was exploring. Upon Riko's examination of him, she finds out that he isn't exactly human. His arms are robotic, and with one being able to shoot an incinerator cannon at that. His skin is also elastic to the feel, and he wears a metal helmet that, upon donning it, lights up with a strange symbol. But upon waking up in the orphanage with Riko and her friends, Regu has lost all of his memories. He doesn't exactly know what he is or his purpose, but once Riko decides to go down into the abyss, Regu accompanies her to protect her from the dangers in the abyss, and also to find his memory. Next up is Riko, an orphan who is the child of the legendary white whistle, Lyza. She is a strong-headed girl who's not your regular orphan. She's incredibly intelligent in all things that have to do with the abyss. She is technically this world's version of a survival expert. And despite her size and youth, she is also privy to the violence that occurs in the abyss, but still decides to go into the abyss searching for her lost mother and Regu's memories. Simply put it, she's a straight-up heroic character. Overall, the show's characterizations for its main characters are pretty much second to none. But as for its secondary characters, they're also very well developed. Our secondary characters like Nanachi get basically whole episodes dedicated to them, even though they're not main characters. This is something I've always wanted to see in anime, no matter what kind they are, because supporting characters are so important to manga and anime, really any story you tell. This is why you see shows and manga that on the outside, looking in, are bad, but once you get in, you realize it's pretty good because of these strong supporting characters. As for if these characters grow or change, well, they do quite a bit. The show's pride and joy is developing these characters and their challenges, which is the Abyss. In many ways, the Abyss is the ultimate villain for these characters because it gets the whole overarching villain out of the way and instead makes the world they're in the villain. So we get to see our heroes get challenged in various different ways than what normally you'd probably not see if there was one villain. Instead, think of the Abyss as all kinds of villains fighting, maybe not really against the heroes at times, but still creating a threat because they exist. I think the first thing I immediately noticed was this anime's art. It's gorgeous and beautiful and everything else in between. The world is so full while still retaining its mysteries. And speaking of, they do a very good job in selling the Abyss's mysteries by the way it looks. It's literally a deep hole in what looks to be an impact crater or some volcano that's covered in mist. And going into the Abyss, the characters are also mystified by its beauty and mysterious qualities and the secrets that it holds. And as the anime goes on and our characters go down more and more layers, we get to see these huge natural structures and the creatures that populate it. As for the character designs, they're quite unique. For the most part, our main characters are chibi in how they look. This creates a good way for the viewers to latch on to something as the world they're in is dark and full of despair. As for their attire, Regu is unique. He has robotic arms, a cool helmet with horns protruding from it, and a freaking cape. As for Riko, she's dressed up like a normal excavator, but I feel that is very unique to her as well because she stands out, which I assume is why these uniforms are made. Also, let's not forget Nanachi. Nanachi, she's just the best character in general. Animation is smooth and very well designed. Regu's incinerator cannon is by far one of the coolest moments in the whole show. It rips through and incinerates anything in its path. It's also very docile and can on a whim tap into a superhuman strength to take down the most daunting creatures the Abyss has to offer. Not only that, but I feel the CGI used in this anime is really solid. While I still believe there is no good implementation of this yet in an anime, it's fluid enough and does, I feel, at least try to complement the style of the anime at the very least. But I still think we're a long ways off before CGI is implemented in a way that won't be grating to the eyes. Made in Abyss is an anime that only comes around every now. A truly great anime that deserves all of the praise it's currently receiving. Its story is engaging and keeps you glued to your seat throughout most of it. Sure, the episodes with Ozen are a little slow, but can be forgiven in the grand scheme of the series. And even then, these episodes can be great to some people as they're right in the middle, so they can be pretty nice stopgaps. The art is so beautiful as well, and is one of the reasons this show succeeds at selling its horror of the Abyss and also the violence inside of it, but doesn't overdo it as the characters are designed in such a way to appease the eyes. And with the score, we'll get into that after the review, so stick around. It's one of the best implementations of this season in my opinion. Of course, we'll talk more about that in a moment. Overall, Made in Abyss is an anime that I think everyone should at least try to watch. It is a modern day classic. And because it is a classic, Made in Abyss receives a 5 out of 5.
えてない。
Alright, another review down. Second to last anime I'm going to cover this season. Well, technically this is the last one I'll be covering this season, but Friday we have Sakura Quest. And then Saturday, I hope I'll get a First Impressions Part 1 out on Fall 2017 anime, so look out for that. It may come out Monday. Who knows? I love this anime. There's not too much that you can say about anime like this other than just it's amazing and everyone should watch it. So I'll try to not just say that over and over. So with that being said, I decided to leave out the score section of the review in the main review and put it in this part of the review because I felt that as is the score is better suited to discuss freely without a script. So, you know, and I always try to leave something in this portion of the reviews, so it's not just, you know, me rambling on about the anime to no end. Which, people respect that and enjoy that, so that's why I leave that in as well. But I still want this part to mean something more than just me rambling on and on. So, let's talk about the score. So, the score is by Kevin Pinkin, who has done a couple other anime. It's a little bit more than a couple, but I'm probably 4 or 5, I would say. I'm not too sure on that, and I don't have the My Anime List website open, which I probably should, but I don't. I have, instead of my Anime List open, I have a list of K-On! Albums open. Which just goes to show where my mind's at right now. But, but the score, here's the thing about it. I made some mental notes while I was watching this. A lot of the times, I felt the score was trying to hide in the mix of everything, to be honest. And this is nothing new. A lot of anime and a lot of just, like, media, like anime that tell stories and feature music as a score do this, but I felt like they tried to really blend it in with the overall mix as to make it sound like a Hayao Miyazaki film. That's kind of, and I know a lot of people will compare this to Hayao Miyazaki because of the chibi-like characters and the adventure and how dark it ends up and the messages that are in this anime, which I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to leave that to other people because I'm not as smart as those people who find hidden messages in this, and I've already seen a bunch of videos on that. But it reminds me a lot of the Hayao Miyazaki scoring, in a way, which a lot of people will probably say is more Disney-like. It's like how Disney would score an animated film of theirs, but I say it's different from that. I say it's more Princess Mononoke kind of scoring, to be honest. It complements everything. But it's one of those things where, with Princess Mononoke, there are a couple moments where it's really just animation with music. It's really just like a music video. And that's a lot of really great moments in Princess Mononoke. I feel they kind of took that idea and instead made the sounds of the environment and the things you see and the feeling that you get from watching all of these small elements that come into an anime work together, and that kind of plays is the music. And I know that's not what that is, but there's no better way to describe it. What you see is more of the music in this stuff. And another thing is I felt after episode 6, the score really just kicked it up a notch. I have never been impressed by a score like this in summer 2017 that I've had with this anime. just to name some scores that I was kind of happy with, the one that comes off right off the top of my head is Princess Principal. And while I would say this is different from Princess Principal, I think the mysticism and kind of charm of both of those series lies a lot within the music that is created. Like, there's a lot of jazzy kind of stuff going on in Princess Principal, and I feel in Made in Abyss, there's a lot of whimsy and whimsical kind of music going on with more of a classic kind of design choice. There isn't... Honestly, in a way, it's like Berserk, the original Berserk anime. It's kind of scored like that. Almost a little bit of dark overtones at times, but really, I don't want to say medieval, but it does have that kind of feel to it, like a medieval vibe. I won't say it's perfect, because I do feel that it was missing something. And I can't really tell what it is. I know the main theme within the show was prominent, so I don't think that's the problem, was they didn't have a catchy main theme. Like, the main theme in this is not that bad, but it wasn't perfect. And that being said, it's still pretty damn good. But I won't deny that some people could probably find something abstract about it that maybe doesn't live up or to them. To me, I think it's still pretty damn good. Then again, I don't think this is what this anime's main focus was with the scoring. I think it was a lot of animation. I think they could have used some bigger moments with music, to be honest, but I don't think they had enough time to do it. I would have loved to just take in the landscape with some nice music going on with it, but sadly they didn't have that. Which is fine. It's still pretty good anime. I also want to talk about Nanachi, because Nanachi, I think to a lot of people, will be a character they enjoy quite a bit. And I think that if there isn't already, there's going to be a lot of people buying Nanachi dolls and figurines, and I'm probably going to be one of them. I thought Nanachi was an incredibly unique character that had a lot of mystique around her, and still relatively does. I say she. It's never explicitly said what her gender is, but I feel that with Nanachi, she went from a character you saw in the cover and you're like, huh, that's cool, and then you kind of forgot about her for a long time, and then when she shows up in the anime at like episode 8, 9, or 10 or whatever it is, she kind of has a weird pattern of growth. She kind of starts as like I said, a mysterious character who you don't really know what she's thinking. She's kind of quirky too. She reminds me a lot of a Beatrice from ReZero, and a lot of people will probably find the same similarities, especially with her voice, as the voice work is, I feel, similar to Beatrice. I don't think they're the same voice actresses, but definitely similar kind of voice work. But her voice acting is quirky. She's quirky herself as a character, even when you get to know her in the series. And she has an incredibly detailed backstory that gets kind of explained in the very last episode. I was actually very surprised at how much they focused on Nanachi in the last episode. I had no idea that the whole last episode of Made in Abyss would be the way it was. And no spoilers, of course. I'm not going to say any spoilers, but basically, like, a good portion, like almost 50%, maybe even more than that, is dedicated to Nanachi and her backstory and how she became to be, and her developing afterwards, and living with her past, and what happened to her, and why she's in the abyss. Why she didn't decide to come up from the abyss. She's a character that you can connect with. She's a faithful character to herself and to her ideals. She's very good. She's a very good, well-written character that I just think everyone will love. And I would go as far to say that I think Nanachi is, besides Reg, is the star player of this anime. I think it's definitely, it's a toss-up between those two. You could say either one. Because while I think Reg has a certain charm to him that makes him just likable, and I think Riko is a toss-up too. A lot of people would like Riko. She's kind of she's a child who has a lot of adventure within her that a lot of people, I think, can appreciate. But Nanachi, I think it's a toss-up between those two, Reg and Nanachi, because Nanachi to me, okay, I'll explain it this way. Nanachi is like a secondary character that honestly kind of acts as a main character that has a lot of mystique and intrigue to her, that you don't really know what she's all about, but you can tell that you want to know more about her. And that to me is a great way to do a supporting or secondary character. I think honestly in season 2 she's going to be one of the main characters, and I think she's going to have some important roles. And I won't explain why that is, because that would bring up a bunch of spoilers. But if you haven't already, bet on a season 2, because this has been an incredibly successful series for anime industry in general. So, but I think that's all I got for you. It's kind of hard to word some of the things I wanted to say, because I did finish the series quite late. I didn't have much time to think on this part of the series. I kind of had to get it out and get it done with. So, not a perfect review in that sense, but I thought it was a pretty solid, decent review. Tell me what you guys thought about the review. Tell me what you guys thought about Made in Abyss. I'd love to hear what you guys thought about Made in Abyss. That would be awesome to hear. Did you watch it? Do you plan on watching it? Let me hear your thoughts. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. My name is SeaTactics. I'll see you next time.